Come and get it. My wife is in the back. Want to make some? She'll be offended if you don't eat them.
Full of butter.
Wow, such service.
What kind of?
Steve, you're live. Thank you.
Yeah, push to the other side.
My mom will make it.
Mr. Truckee,
I'll
on
be
in.
hungry, I'll be going.
Dave? Yes. All right, let's start this off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, before we get started here, the board has asked Frank here, Father Frank, to say a few words, if you would.
The board asked that at this meeting, when the community comes together, that they join to honor our dear friend who has gone on to serve. Lord be with you, also with you. Let us pray. Lord, our community comes together on this day to honor thy departed servant, Zach Ludwig. When our country needed those to serve, standing in a terrible gap between terrorists and their victims, Zach answered the call, excelling in his training, graduating with distinguished honors as a United States Marine. When asked to stand the ground in the front lines in the unprecedented horrors of that war in Afghanistan, Zach served as a leader with honor and distinction. When this decorated Marine returned home, he was to fight another war, facing the lingering traumas devastating the lives of so many young Americans. So, this decorated Marine did so. He did not give up, and his courage in this last fight would once again inspire others. Whether weary or emboldened, Zach was always in the fight to protect the weak, to take care of others, and helping all he could here in his home community of Port of the Islands. Loving Lord, bless him forever in your eternal peace. Let the sounds of strife, the cries of battle, and the wounds of war be calmed for all eternity in your loving and endless grace. And may we, here in our community, always be reminded of his service and his life, and learn from this good life and example. Today, heaven is a happier place because Corporal Ludwig has reported for duty. Father, we remember the man whose life, his courage, his service, and his sacrifice too humbling for words, except those uttered in trembling prayer. Father, bless him and keep him in your loving grace. This we pray as a unified community. Amen.
Amen.
Semper Fi, Marines.
Thank you for that. That was very appreciated. Now, you mentioned something about a flag. You want to mention that?
We can. Okay. There's a honor and remember flag that is given to soldiers that are killed in action or have died as Zach did, which is action. And it's a personalized flag. And I'd welcome you to look up Honor and Remember flag. It actually flies over the Florida state capitol and many capitals over. Where it became is a Gold Star parent that had lost his son in Afghanistan started the group, and these flags are given and as a presentation to the fallen comrades. So I would think that if we could get one of these flags ordered for Zach, I think that would be really great for the community.
I agree. Do we need to make a motion, or can we do it?
I think it'd be appropriate if you had a motion second and an affirmation from the board that's part of the record of today, and then we'll follow up with Senator Pasadomo's office. She is the president of the Senate this year and is our senator, and I'm quite sure would be very willing to fulfill that request.
I would like to make a motion that we move forward trying to get this flag for the Ludwig family.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before that, I suppose we should get,
Mr. Chucky,
yeah.
I would, so motion to.
Yeah, we have to make a motion so Mr. Truckee can be on Zoom today. He was unfortunately not able to get out because of the storm in Colorado. So I move that we allow Mr. Truckee to participate via Zoom today. Second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And also, Russ could not be here today because of commitment that he had with a health issue for a family member. Do we need to take the roll call?
Yes, sir. We should note that with the exception of Russ, the other members of the board are here. Today's meeting was properly noticed and posted both in the newspaper and also the district's website. Thank you for your understanding. Historically, we meet across the street, but we were informed yesterday they're tearing the roof off of the clubhouse there. And so obviously you got word, and we're very appreciative of your being here today under a little bit different circumstances, but thanks for your understanding of that.
Neil, I think for the record, that notice was posted on the Orchid Cove Clubhouse door, redirecting the public to view, and also the website.
Special notice on the website that was up yesterday morning.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Chairman, that takes us down to item number 2, the approval of the agenda. I have no additional items, but if the board has different items, we can add those at this time.
I'm not aware of any extra changes.
If
So,
not, then
motion?
I may, hang on, I may have something. I don't see on here where we actually are going to talk about a possible event that will be brought up today.
I'm sorry, Dan, say that again?
I'd like to speak on maybe a option to have an event.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
all right.
12A,
Should do that under new business?
under supervisor's request.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Motion to approve as amended then.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that. That takes us down, Mr. Chairman, to public comment. Our board has a policy here to allow public comment on items either on or off the agenda. We had a sign-up sheet here this morning. Mr. Chairman, I'll let you call those names. If you sign the sheet unknowingly, just to register the fact that you're here, that's fine. You're not required to sign that sheet, but we have 2, and then we can see if there are other people that have.
Yeah, we have 2 people that signed here. Were you just signing in, or do you actually have a comment for the board?
I was just signing in, but I might have a question later.
Okay,
That's fine.
fair.
Okay.
Okay,
Any other public comment this morning of a general nature? All of our meetings are transcribed. And so if you would stand up, speak loudly, or come to the front and just tell us your name and your address or the community that you're from. Thank you.
I apologize. I didn't realize I got in a little late after.
not a problem. That's good.
My name's Nick Pearson. I'm an environmental consultant. Bayshore Marine Consulting is my company name. Mainly, it's kind of a private matter that I guess I'm trying to speak on today, and it's sort of preliminary. I just wanted to open the door to this idea. My client owns property at 140 Wilderness K. It's basically it's that last street facing south, straight into the mangroves.
That's that Jeff fellow.
Jeff Giroux is his name.
Yep.
He's working on a project where he's trying to build some sort of, we're still working on the design, but it looks like some sort of fence or wall. I'm not sure right now if it's going to be a retaining wall. And we've already looked, into the county, and no one seems to have an issue with it, except I'm not sure really about all the channels here. So I just wanted to open the door to a conversation and If it is something that seems like it might be approvable, then we would obviously be coming back with some more official engineering and
Now,
the required documents.
if I'm not mistaken, he was talking about putting in like a concrete wall there, right? On taking away the seawall?
I'm not sure yet. He has some oak trees on the site. He wants to leave those in place. So kind of navigating around those trees is a little bit difficult. So I'm not exactly sure on the exact placement.
So we do have an easement along that waterfront there for drainage. So we will have to be involved if they're crossing that drainage, or he wants to alter that drainage or something like that. We would need to be involved in that.
I think the idea is to maintain the drainage as much as possible. And
That's all
certainly it wouldn't be reduced at all.
Right. And as far as the seawall, I don't believe that we have any jurisdiction over that.
Except to the extent if it's located and impacts any district easement, such as drainage easement, because then you'd be arguably adversely affecting or impacting the district's easement.
If you could connect with the board or with Neil, probably with Neil, and we'll just stay ahead of this.
Okay.
So even when you have preliminary stuff, just bring it up, because we don't need to spend any more money on things that can or cannot be done or you know. Let's work together on it.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Any other public comment? Okay, barring that, then, Mr. Chairman, Tony, I think item 3A, as shown here, is going to be continued until the next meeting. This is
Yes,
the
we're requesting
parcel 13.
Yeah, I suggest to be continued. There's miscommunication between myself and Ms. Pasadomo, the attorney for Mr. Case.
Can I interrupt for 1 minute? JC is trying to get on the Zoom meeting, and he says he cannot locate the meeting ID that's listed on the CID website.
Steve, it's JC. I apologize. I'm on.
Good. Oh, okay. Thank you. We're all good. Move on.
So we're requesting to be continued to the next meeting.
Are there agendas, by the way, at the meeting? Do we have agendas here?
Not today. The gentleman that normally brings those was required to attend a separate FEMA meeting, so just be patient with us today. We normally bring extra copies of the index. We will announce each item as we go down through the agenda here, though.
And all this whole agenda packet is on the website.
So you could view it on your phone if you'd like.
Mr. Chairman, item 3B today was under public comment. We discussed this last month, but there are some general knowledge and background issues as it concerns the enforcement of the Collier County Land Development Code. And we're fortunate enough to have a representative from county government here today who is, I believe, the officer for this region. But in addition, the issue at least addressed last month and that Mr. Baird and I have also discussed with our county commissioner are boat trailer parking and or storage issues. And so thank you. If you don't mind identifying yourself and I think just on background, if you could explain a little bit about the county's land development code and the code enforcement department and board in turn, and then what you do as a normal course in this part of the district, I think that'd be a good source of information for people to have. I'm very appreciative that you took time out to be here this morning.
Sure. My name is Don Joseph. I'm the area investigator for code here at Port of the Islands. I have a other large area. I go clear out to Chokoloskee Island and Copeland and Plantation Island and all the way up to Collier Boulevard on the south side. But that was a little more than I was prepared for. But as far as our procedures for opening complaints and taking complaints, and the need for a complainant and a name, an address, and phone number, that stems from the Senate Bill 60 that the governor signed in 2021, making it unlawful for a code official to initiate an investigation on a code violation without or on the basis of an anonymous complaint. So a complainant is required to do that.
How about passing through a community and you notice a violation? Can you act on that?
Now, there's a part B to that first part that I said, unless it's a serious health, safety, or welfare issue or threat to irreparable damage.
Okay.
Now, in our normal patrols, I can open grass and weeds cases in excess of 18 inches in height, litter cases, prohibited outside storage, dangerous junk or inoperable vehicles, dilapidated fences, green pools, lack of a pool barrier, occupied RVs, all right-of-way signage, county right-of-way signage, right-of-way maintenance or work in the right-of-way, parking in the right-of-way, and dangerous structures. I'm limited to opening those cases. Anything else requires a complainant who would be in public record and visible.
Okay, any other questions? Dan, do you have anything?
I do not.
Is there anyone from the audience that would like to ask a question? Mr. Joseph? Go ahead, sir. Could I get your name, please?
Ernest Peterson.
Thank you.
I wanted a complainant. Does that have to be somebody who lives in the area? Could it be somebody from the CID board? Could it be somebody from the homeowners association?
Can you answer that for him, please?
I don't have any in my areas, but I know other areas where homeowners associations will take the complaints and then file them for the other community members. I've not heard of any CIDs that do that. A CID and an HOA is apples and oranges. It's two totally separate different things. But that is possible for an HOA.
At the last meeting, you probably weren't here, and we asked the opinion of our attorney as to what the CID is responsible for. And he basically suggests that we are not to be involved in code violations, correct? Unless they're
adversely affect or impact district facilities, property interests such as easements, ownership, anything owned by the district, or anything could be impacted by, adversely impacted by the activity.
With that also said, if a member of the community has a problem, there's nothing wrong with you calling any member of the board, and the board could make a phone call to whoever this is that's having this problem, and we try to rectify it without going through the county. I mean, that's really how we should handle this. Go to the neighbors first, point out that, that there's an issue and ask them to correct it first. That's how we should do it first. If you can't get it done then you got to go through the other avenues. Any more comments? Yes, ma'am. Could I get your name?
Joe.
Could you come up here so I could hear you, please? Thank you.
Just a quick question. How often do you come around our area to inspect for the violation?
I drive through about every Wednesday and most Thursdays.
Okay.
On Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm over closer to 41 in Collier. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I come out this way and then out to Chokoloskee and Plantation.
So then you have a good perspective of like the RVs that have been parked and for an extended period of time.
Here in the parking lot?
Here in the parking lot and over on the other side, when you do get them, like last year.
Yes, I have an open case on that currently.
Okay. Okay, good. No, I just didn't know how often you were available. Great, thank you.
I have a question for the gentleman.
Could we
Patrick Otenbaker, 525 Newport Drive. Thank you. The marina here. I'm a retired police officer, and I don't know all the rules down here. My understanding is like the old eyesore tour bus has been here. This is my 4th winter. It's never moved. My understanding is if people keep current plates on things and they have an address here, it can't be towed as an abandoned vehicle removed. Is that correct?
Well, it couldn't be towed as an abandoned vehicle because it has a current registration. But the zoning for this hotel parking lot here, which is my case now, prohibits the storage of recreational vehicles.
My understanding is that she would probably just move it to another location every time it was taken, more than likely, because she owns a condo here.
So
It's the only concern is the tour bus. You don't see all the other vehicles, like the trailer parkings for the boats.
Other vehicles I see usually come and go.
You don't see storage containers.
That one never moved.
I mean,
the current
just
complaint covers all
besides
that.
the bus, there's all other things where our association says in our docs that it's not supposed to be there. So don't single out the bus, okay? You can
Oh, that's just
single
the only
out,
thing I see that doesn't
you
move.
can
Everybody else
single
seems to
out
move.
all the other things. And remember, it's private parking, okay? It's a private parking spot. This is a hotel. So until the condo association says, we're gonna take action, Collier County, I believe, cannot reinforce those rules because this is private parking for the hotel.
Excuse
So
me.
don't single out the bus, single out every other thing. You got kayaks, you got boats, you got commercial vehicles, don't single out the bus.
Excuse me. Last meeting we talked, and I have spoken to Tom, which of course owns this place, or a majority of it. He assured me that at the beginning of the year, because I told him, you have 18 trailers in there, you have blah, 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 blah. And we hear a lot about it. And he told me that he didn't feel he had enough signage put up enough around here telling people that they can't park there. He was only aware of 2 people, myself and one other person he's given any permission to park in here. And he was going to get signage put up and start enforcing the parking rules in here. So in other words, probably have to have a sticker on your vehicle to be parked in this parking lot, or he was gonna hire a company to remove them. I haven't had a chance to talk to Tom to find out where he is on that process. I also looked at the condo association rules. And one of the things it says on there for people who park should park here or there, which Tom was not aware of, but in those condo rules, it does say park out here. So that's probably why people are doing it. They don't know, but we're trying to address that now. And it's not just that camper or anything else. There's a lot of things in here that need to be.
Also, Collier County has a public boat ramp. When people do not want to pay the fee, they will launch their boat and then they will bring their boat trailers over to this parking lot. So until Collier County could see what they're doing over there with their own boat ramp and keep track of their own boat ramp, then.
Well, that was my next issue. I've spoken with Collier County about the parking of the boat trailers, especially on the lawns and whatnot there. I've probably talked to them for 6 months. They're well aware of the zoning here and that it's not correct. Some of these boats in here could very well be patrons of this place. If they're renting a room here, they're gonna have a boat trailer in here. But So we can't just say because there's a boat trailer in there, it doesn't belong in there, first of all. But it shouldn't be there for more than a few days because they're only gonna stay here for a few days. Can you address that for me? What's going on with the boat park? Now, the other thing is, if you launch a boat in here, and I don't know about the signage, if there's not enough room in here to be parked, they're supposed to be parking over there on that gravel that the county put in on their own lot over there. That's where that's supposed to go. I don't know if people are completely aware of that. Maybe we need to put up some better signage, a larger, or whatever. But, some people are gonna do as they dang well please too, so we're always gonna have some of that. But I've got a gal in the back here.
Yeah.
Could you give us your name, please?
Teddy Grego. I was told by Tom that he signed a contract with the marina, allowing the marina to have anyone park in our parking lots over here. So that's something to look into if that contract exists.
Okay, he didn't tell me that, but I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
I will ask him.
Tell everyone everything.
Yeah.
Another one of my current cases is the boats and trailers being stored on that grass strip beside the paved lot down there. And I was advised, the determination came back on Wednesday that it's not zoned for that. So Parks and Recreation was advised yesterday that those boats and trailers need to be removed.
Now, we've been working on that for months. How long do you suppose it'll be before we see action?
Their response was they were going to talk about a solution and how to get all those people notified and have the trailers removed.
Now, typically when you go around and you put a warning notice on people's boat trailers in their driveways, you give them a certain amount of time to remove them, right?
Yes.
How long is that?
An individual in a driveway, typically on a first offense, it would be a week.
A week?
Yeah.
So more than likely we can see these gone in a week?
In a situation like the hotel here and all the trailers all over the place.
No, I'm just talking about the marina, county's
Well, I'm
marina.
trying to do apples and apples.
Okay.
We gave them 30 days.
Okay.
Which today is my check day, so I'll be looking for Tom.
Okay.
When I leave here.
Very good.
So 30 days.
Okay.
Would be standard.
Good. That's what we needed. We got a date now, 30 days.
From when?
Yesterday, right?
30
days from January 17th.
You notified them yesterday, right?
Well, they haven't been given a deadline date yet. We're waiting on their response to tell us how they're going to go about getting rid of them.
How about the fenced-in area on the back?
What about it?
That they're renting boat storage in the back there. It's not zoned for that as well.
Well, I found that there's a planning application or a planning and an update to the site development plan that was done for that area.
Yeah, that
was it
the
approved?
issue. No.
It wasn't approved.
They had to fence it and buffer it, and then it was given the okay for dry storage.
Okay.
But our understanding, we spoke to the deputy county manager, Dan Rodriguez, in advance, and also Jamie French. And Jamie was of the opinion at that time that there may not have been a site improvement plan that was filed and or a building permit to erect the fence. And so if they have found that there was, or if someone has now filed an after the fact site improvement plan application, if you could just contact me and share the details of that, because again, that's been an issue here for at least 4 months.
Sure. I know the fence permit was issued and filed.
Originally or subsequently?
I found it back it was pretty old.
Okay. What's the address? Yeah. What street is it on or what address?
It's 525 Newport.
Okay, thank you.
It's at the very south end of the county.
I'm just looking for, I'll check city view.
No, thank you for that.
As far as the SDPI, the insubstantial change, I don't know I can't say that I found a finalized copy of that.
If you would just make a note, because I think Mr. Rodriguez and/or Commissioner LaCastro need to know that on background, and if you just send me whatever's pertinent in an email, then I will make sure that the other two individuals are informed of that, copy you on the report.
Sure.
So if it's found that that isn't been properly permitted, you will do the same eviction as you're gonna do with the boats, trailers?
They would be, the requirement would be to update their site development plan to show that area.
But until they have that they would be in violation, right?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the county charges those people per spot.
I completely understand.
Well, the county doesn't.
I don't know, I think I shared this with you. In Port,
Yeah, the county doesn't.
But the concessionaire is a concessionaire for the county,
the,
right? The county
They
has,
lease the property to run their business out of,
yeah, so it's a county concessionaire.
With the county, does the county have a contract with the store that says this is your land, you can use it for dry storage, to make profit on?
let's,
The county contract.
okay, we're gonna get this taken care of, but, I've said this before. The county won't allow anybody else to put in, trailer storage in here. They make it so called, I mean, they make it almost impossible for someone with commercial land to do any development in here because of all the stipulations they want to go through. But yet, and no offense to you, I feel Collier County is one of our biggest violators of the rules in this community. With the land they own over there, with the land that they own over here, with the marina and whatnot. And when I've gone to the county, they've said, yeah, we absolutely know this is wrong. And they do nothing. And that's my beef. This, and I just found out that we asked them to take over our meridian, and I'm getting off the subject a little bit, take over our meridian out here and have the county pay for that. And it came back that, no, we don't have any budget for that. And my problem is, they just raised the taxes in this area for about 30% over the entire thing. They're taking millions of dollars out of this community, and I see where Collier County is giving us back almost nothing. And it's, I'm to the point now where I think that we as a board need to notice a meeting, and all five of us and our attorney go to the next county commission meeting and bring that up, because our representative, Mr. LaCastro, is very good about making the promises, but we see no results. So I'm sorry if that, I know that isn't your deal, but
No, that, yeah,
I-
that's, I can't
three
speak on any
levels
of
of-
that.
I know, I'm kind of passionate about it. I got it out there. I have a really short attention span, so when I think of something, I gotta say it, or I'll forget it.
And again, we are appreciative of what you do. I wouldn't have your job for nothing. So the fact that you're committed to enforce the codes, and it sounds to me like you're on top of the caseload that you have, we're appreciative of that.
And I know you've talked to Dan, and you've talked to myself. Anything that we can do to help you, we will do it. And like he says, we do appreciate what you're doing for us.
I appreciate you, thank you.
If not, we'll let you go because it's Friday and you got, I'm sure, a bunch of cases to do. To the chairman's.
Does he have some business cards that he can sign for us?
I'll bring some back.
Okay, great.
I thought of that too late.
Thanks, who's in the background, just.
All right.
But, Mr. Chairman, to your point, Mr. Baird and I.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Ma'am. Can you give her the spiel?
Sure.
Hang on.
Okay, we were saving this for later, but we'll just deal with it now. I'd like to talk about respect. While the board is conducting our meeting, if somebody is speaking to the board or a board member is speaking, we insist that there's no rude comments or trying to talk over the speaker. Everyone will have their chance to speak or comment once they say who they are, and they will be invited by the chairman here. Violation of this policy will result in a warning. Continued behavior will result in the violator being asked to leave.
Do you understand that, ma'am?
Me?
Yes. You're the one I'm having a problem with right now.
Sure, I don't have a problem. I'll have my questions at the next meeting. Thank you.
We have a forum at the beginning for comments and whatnot, and if you want to be recognized, we will recognize you and give you as much time as we, within reason, but we can't have this all going on. Okay? Thank you. Ma'am?
I'm just curious, are these recorded, the meetings?
Absolutely, that's why we're doing all this.
Okay.
And they can go on the website and pull this up after the meeting, right? And rewatch this.
You're gonna
Correct.
need to post them elsewhere.
Okay?
The Zoom storage, because for example, the first meeting I did was 5.25 gig.
Okay.
I only had 10 gig of space, so
Okay.
October's off. I have it in files, so it's not
Okay.
going anywhere, but you're gonna need to find a place to deposit those so that people can access those from
Okay.
your website.
Okay.
We have just moved your website to a new vendor in accordance with your instructions last month, and we have already discussed this with them. So we will be creating what I would call a video archive of the video files with our brand new web host. And so if you'll just follow that process on the website, we have just moved the website to a new host, and we're going to implement the video archive and bring it up current. What we're doing here today with the Zoom at this level is a little more professional and a little bit better done than what we have historically tried to do. And so the last couple of meetings, we've sort of had a pilot project here, and they agreed to come back and do one more on a pilot basis before the board made a final decision of whether they wanted to do this level of quality on a permanent basis. Good question.
Yeah, we're trying to make this so that if you're not at the meeting, you can go on Zoom, and if not, you can go back afterwards, and it's better than transcriptions or anything else. And the quality of this is excellent, thank you. So, and if you've got a meeting or something that you cannot find, get a hold of one of us and we'll make sure that you get it. All right? Thank you. What's next?
With that, Mr. Chairman, then the next meeting that we had under public comment today was just to update you on Mr. Lee and Mr. Kaiser's proposal. I think the board felt it was a little high last month at a flat approximate rate of $1,000. The consensus of the board was that you didn't want to own and operate your own equipment and just have them run it. They have sent me a reduced proposal fee of $800 to do the entire and broadcast and post editing in order to upload the archives. So they've revised their fee by $200. I think that it is a good fee for the quality of what they do and the fact that they both live in this community. So we're not having to pay travel time and things like some of your other vendors in that regard. They want to have a separate conversation with me to cover them in the rare event that a meeting gets continued. We had that happen twice this past year. They just want to have some sort of supplemental fee if they have to tear down and come back the next day for a meeting that doesn't get concluded, and I think that's fair as well. But if you have any other questions, if there are concerns about the $800 fee, this would be your time to
It was
discuss.
$833 to be fair.
Correct.
And I did go through that, and I actually spoke with Dave Keyser and Frank. And there was a few little issues that I had in there, and I think we can work them out. And I
Do it.
make a motion.
I make a motion that we contract with, I forgot the name of the company. What's your name?
Arma Concepts.
Okay. For our monthly meetings.
Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, ma'am.
Is that $800 per meeting?
$833, yeah. So it's about $10,000 a year.
And what's the thought process on owning our own equipment? Just, is it not knowing how to set it up or
Yeah, that's-
storing it?
It's really complicated to get all this stuff done. Dave really understands this stuff, and he still had a long learning curve. in the past, we've had a hard time getting a microphone to work.
So if someone were to volunteer somehow to set it up, how long does that contract go towards?
Well, the contract is basically, we can terminate whenever we like after 6 months. We're open to that, but trying to get volunteers on a regular basis and whatnot, it's gonna be difficult.
Okay.
And it's.
But it would be an option if it worked well.
Sure. Quality of Wi-Fi signal has also been an issue with us because we are simulcasting this over Zoom.
You ever heard?
And so it's just a whole host of things that have to happen and then run the system to make sure everybody's muted, because otherwise you get all this feedback that's coming in, you know, through the Zoom and that sort of thing. So there's a fair amount of work.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I missed your name.
Teddy Grego?
Yeah.
TEDI.
Thank you. And you had a comment, sir?
Yeah, Michael Lloyd, over here, Lloyd. The technology on the contract, is there a piece in there that as technology improves, so does the equipment? You know, 6 months from now.
I didn't
the
see
technology
that.
Piece could change dramatically.
I didn't see that, but my guess is if it's working, we probably won't fix it. If something, you know, new and exciting comes along, we'll address it as it comes up.
Okay.
You know, they got to make a little bit of money. We got to spend some money. We'll work together.
Yeah, as the Wi-Fi changes in the area, things change in the area.
Absolutely.
Everything improves, right?
Absolutely.
From cellular service to what we have now, everything, right?
Mhm.
So we just want to make sure that whatever we're paying for,
Mhm.
right, allows us the opportunity to grow with it.
Very good.
We don't want a year from now, and next thing you know, we're sitting back trying to figure out how to turn it on again, right?
Right.
So we just
Very
wanna make sure
good.
that's in place.
Very good. Catherine?
Kathy Oswald, Sunset K Lakes. I want to say that 833, because I did check on my own what we do at my church, $833 for this technology is inexpensive to have somebody run it and everything else. We don't have to worry about, is the volunteer going to show up, you know.
Thank
so on
you.
and so forth.
Appreciate that input. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you had a motion in a second. I don't think we called the question.
Well, that was that's why I was giving them time. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Dave? Or, Dan? We got Dan.
There he is.
There he is.
Yay or nay, Mr. Truckee?
Nay.
Nay.
3-1.
Okay.
That concludes the public comments and presentations for today. Item 4 are the minutes from your meeting on December the 15th. They're behind the next tab there in your book.
Okay, I'm gonna do this a little bit different than we normally do. I went through the minutes, and not only was I looking for corrections, but I was also looking for things that were brought up, and I don't want to get them missed. So as we go through this, I'm gonna bring them up as we go. Okay, so starting on page 2, line 27. There was, or is it 37? 37. Okay, Catherine Kellmeyer asked about a document on page 1384, and she only brought one copy, and she gave it to you and was hoping that that would be distributed to the board.
Page 2, line 27?
37, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say.
It was regarding the mosquito spraying down the driveways for Sunset K Lakes over there on Newport Drive.
Our
And Russ
agreement
said
with
he
them.
was-
Yeah.
It happened, used to be done and then it got stopped, so Russ was gonna make sure it started again.
Do you know if it has?
I can't answer
Okay,
that.
but just that she asked for it is the only reason I'm bringing it up.
No.
Okay.
I'll follow up with Mr. Kish
Thank
and
you.
make sure that that was done.
Okay, next is page 3. Line 16, website conversion. You already addressed that
Yes,
earlier
sir.
in the meeting.
That took
Okay.
place about 2 weeks ago. The new company is called Exploratech, and they are in town. Your former host was out of town. That made it a little difficult, but it's been in place for 2 weeks.
Okay. And so then I go down to line 25, acres and knock any residents. That should say no residents. Correction.
Noted.
Okay, page 7. Line 37. Ritalis bid. You gave us a copy of that?
It was passed out today.
Today?
It was received over the weekend.
Okay.
And you have that in front of you. The name of the vendor or the consultant is incorrect. It's Raftalis, Raftelis. I've noted that.
Okay. And that has to do with,
utility rate analysis, which is perhaps your top priority for the year.
right, we're gonna look at all of our, how we're billing non-ad valorem. And now, you also mentioned Florida Rural Water Association.
I did contact them. I'm not convinced that they have adequate staff resources. They're kind of a trade organization. They're based in Tallahassee. They do lobbying. They do a fair amount of training. They have some abilities. I think we tucked that away for another day, but we may want to explore being a member of the Florida Rural Water System. It's a trade group of people who own and operate utilities the size of ours.
Okay. Next, page 8, line 19. Someone flushed a washcloth over on Kay's Drive into the Sanitator's system, and it got into one of our pumps, and it cost us a lot of money to clean that out. I was just want to make the public aware that hopefully that we can make sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen again. Down to page, line 35 through 37, stain removal. You thought that maybe you had some chemicals that we could share with the public?
I still have them. I forget the trade name. I'll make a note. We'll put that note on the website. It has to do with water iron stains. And I have, for a different client, recently used it. You put it in a pump sprayer, you spray it on, you wash it off. It's very effective. I forgot to get the trade name, but I'll make a note. We'll add that to the website.
Okay. Quickly moving on to page 9, line 38. Mr. Pierce will email the survey to the board. He provided us that this morning.
Yeah, and I apologize for not emailing it out. And I emailed it to Mr. Truckee since he's not present.
Perfect.
I'll also email it to Mr. Kish since he's not here.
Perfect. Page 10, line 11. Ms. Hanson said she also needs to get with Mr. Gilbert to, I'm sorry?
With Mitch? Yeah.
Yeah, with Mr. Gilbert to move some of the flushing valves in the swales on Venus and a few others. Could you?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to get with Mitch and actually walk to each one of them to make sure that we got them in the right spot.
Is this a guy we can work with
Oh, yeah.
instead of Mitch?
All right. Give me your phone number.
Okay, good. We'll give you time when we get onto your thing there. Next is page 14. Uh, 22, just a correction onto the word street. Simple. Line 30, Mr. Truckee asked if an intra-local agreement with the county would be possible, and Neil said that he thought it was a great idea. Is that something that we're working towards?
Was this concerning the video?
I thought it was engineering.
Resurfacing the roads. You were going to talk to them about working with them for pricing and whatnot
Yes,
on resurfacing.
it is possible. It has not gone to contract yet. But the Pelican Marsh Community Development District is going to do some road milling and resurfacing. So you are eligible to do a tag on. If you had some projects that you want done, the difference would be mobilization. But otherwise, the bid is on a linear foot basis and includes both milling and repaving.
So are we actively working on this?
It is on a list of action items for your new civil engineer.
Okay.
You know, Tony has said in the interim, we're eligible to retain Johnson Engineering on a task-by-task basis as long as we don't exceed.
Well, we can do planning and studying activities for less than 35,000.
So yes,
for individual projects.
We currently have, and I'm going to talk about this in just a minute under the manager's report. Johnson Engineering has been selected. You have their first task planning orientation fee and proposal that's on the agenda later today.
Okay. That's all the corrections that I have or issues that I wanted to come up with. I hope that this works out so that we don't miss anything from one meeting to the other. Any other corrections? Sir?
Some suggestions. On page 2, there are a number of references to Ray. I think he's the water keeper, the gentleman that made the presentation.
Okay.
So I think you just need a last name for that gentleman, possibly. I don't know, Neil, if you
It's on the website. He was like their executive director.
Good morning, Tom.
And on page 30, on line 35 of page 2, should be eliminate the hyphen between 49 and 05. That's the agreement that Ms. Kellmeyer brought in. It's OR book 4905, page 1385. On page 3, Mr. Chairman, line 27, just capitalizing Union Road. I know some of these may sound minor, but on page 5, line 22, there's a blank for the gentleman up from Case Drive.
It's Westerman, isn't it?
Westerman, I think so, yeah.
I'm sorry, who's who?
Westerman?
Westerman, okay, Ron Westerman.
Yeah.
On page 6, the last line, there's a blank on page, line 42. You can insert the word study.
Okay.
On page 8, line 7, there's blanks for who made the motion and who made the second with regards to considering agenda packets being uploaded.
I don't know.
So maybe, you know, maybe go back.
I have handwritten notes. I don't have them here, but I keep
Okay.
handwritten notes for your,
Very good.
I'll just fill those in if appropriate.
Very good.
On page 10, line 32, I think it's they are just, are now, as opposed to no, they are now just waiting for a response. That's page 10, line 32. Neil, I'll hand you these sheets.
Okay.
If you'd like. On page 11, line 10, Park in Victoria Park should be capitalized. On page 13, there are a number of lines that talk about CID, it should be CDDs, and I'll clarify that with Neil also. The name of this is a community improvement district, but we are a community development district.
Right.
So it gets, yeah, there isn't a really, way back when I was looking at the legislative history, they did reference the term back in the 80s beforehand, community improvement district, and they adopted the statute was community development district. You gotta love the legislature when they do wonderful things. On page 14, line 12, it should be parameters, not perimeters. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, as far as suggested edits.
Well, thank you for that. Now, this is something I've been thinking about for a while. Since we've got Annalise here and Deb and a few of us that are looking at these minutes, I'm wondering if it's important to have you spending your time going through this and just looking for corrections.
I have no problem. It only, if it's in a Word format, it'll only take me 10 or 15 minutes. And so that's, a relatively nominal amount
it's worth it.
to do that.
Huh?
I said for 10 or 15 minutes, I think it's worth it.
Okay. I didn't know how long you were spending. I didn't.
Can I do this for some other districts? I'll look at the minutes, and as long as it's in a Word format, then I can make edits right there on the fly.
Okay, good
And I'll
enough.
send them back to Neil.
Yeah. Because we drew them up before we then put them in the official record.
Okay. Anything else before we approve the minutes?
Motion to approve as amended the minutes of December 15th.
Most?
I'll make that motion.
I second
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
With that, Mr. Chairman, we're down to item 5, the manager's report. We've already discussed the website conversion that was accomplished. Item B today is a professional services agreement with Johnson Engineering, who are new to this community, but will be doing a engineering report to damage that was caused to the community's raw water main, which is I believe it's a 6-inch main, runs for about 2 miles north into the community, that has at least 10 leaks in it that we believe were attributable to Hurricane Irma, response by heavy equipment and utility trucks because the well field was flooded. I think the board is well aware of the project. Mr. Truckee is your liaison, so staff has coordinated this with them. There is an estimate not to exceed for this. It's $25,000. It's on a time and materials basis. This engineering firm is very interested in being and responding to your engineer of record RFP that will go out next week. And so I would expect that they will endeavor to give us the work product that Mr. Truckee needs to accompany a FEMA request. It was received in time to be in your printed materials today. Happy to answer any questions or comments that Mr. Truckee might have.
Anything, Dan? Can't hear him.
Need to unmute him, Dave.
He has to do it.
Can you hear me?
There you
Okay. I'd just like to say that this engineering is needed for the FEMA grant. The grant that we're requesting to replace the water line is in the neighborhood of $1.3 million. So this $25,000 that we're spending, you can understand that without it, we can't go forward with the FEMA grant request. So it is rather important.
And if approved, Dan, we would be eligible to get our costs back for the engineering work that went into either the repairs or the replacement of that main. So the fact that we're FEMA eligible here is another, I think, plus from the board's perspective.
As long as we're on that, I really would like to thank Dan Truckee here for all the work that he's doing, and anybody else who's working with Kevin Carter. They're going to a lot of meetings and reading a lot of emails and putting a lot of time into this. And if we're successful, this is going to be huge for this community.
I just like to say, let you know that Kevin is not present today because he's at an LMS grant. It's a local mitigation strategies grant meeting that is held over at Lely. Because it was at the same time as this meeting, Kevin volunteered to attend that. We need attendance at that meeting. Our total grant request for the LMS is in the range of $3.3 million in grant requests that we have with them, and we're moving up the process. So that's what Kevin's at. It takes a team. It does take a team to get these grants. There's a lot of meetings. There's just everyone that's helping out. It's a great team effort to get the money. Thank you.
And, you know, if we're successful in even getting half of this money, it's going to leave us with selling that land to Mr. Case. It's going to leave us with funds that we're going to be able to do some important things with this community. We're going to be able to fix our streets. We're going to be able to, you know, I'd love for us to have a community center at some point, maybe some amenities that everybody in here would like to have. So I'm really optimistic that maybe we can start making some of this stuff happen. So,
As long as we're talking about the grants, I'd like to mention one more thing. I know there was a question on $11,000 that came in grants. I told you at several meetings back that we wouldn't count the money for the grants until it's actually in our pocket, because grants change and opinions change and votes change on the grants. So we did receive a check for $11,000. 1,000 of that has to go to pay the grant writer that helps us with this. Because FEMA changed, because of the hurricane, they changed some of their paybacks. We can actually get that grant money back. And we also get 100% on a lot of these hurricane grants that FEMA has opted to pay a larger percentage of the total. So we do have some more checks that'll be coming. These were the early ones. When the hurricane came, we had to do some street signs, some repairs around the community. Those were the first grants that went in. We have a grant that the FEMA has approved that the check should be coming for the generator. We have another couple grants that should total out around $90,000 that FEMA has approved. We should be receiving the checks. So that's a start. It's a start to the monies coming in. We have a lot larger items out there, like the pipe for $1.23 million, things like that. But as they come, we'll keep you posted. We're not hiding anything. We're not hiding any money. As the money comes in, we'll let you know what we have, and you'll see it hit our financial page.
I think what Dan's talking about is we saw a post on Nextdoor or kind of alluding to where's the money going. So it kind of, it's hard for a board when we're working as hard as we can, and then we have people putting stuff out there that tries to make it look like we're doing disparaging things. But anyway, moving on.
With that, Mr. Chairman, you can entertain a motion to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement with Johnson Engineering for the raw water main evaluation.
I haven't done that already? Kevin sent me stuff to sign. Marcy, do you remember what that was? Okay.
They've been different.
Let's make a motion.
What's it for?
This is the raw water main evaluation with Johnson Engineering. Okay. We need a motion to authorize the approval.
I'd make a motion that we authorize the approval of the request for the engineering services.
Okay.
You second it?
I second it.
Is there any discussion on it? All in favor? Aye.
Item C today, and this was the matter, the backup email thread is in your materials, but I also passed out a copy of the proposal for Reptalis. This is the utility rate analyst proposal to do an evaluation of your rate structure. We have talked to them in advance to make sure that they know and walk them through the budget delineation that your utility system is heavily subsidized by non-ad valorem assessments, and the potential inequity that entails against consumptive use and metered revenues. And so they understand the scope. It's reflected in the proposal. This is the same firm that has done all of Collier County's utility rate analysis for maybe 25 years. This is what they do. They're a national company. The principal for this particular engagement, though, is based in Orlando, and he also has knowledge of the county system and similar evaluations that they did at Orange Tree before that was acquired by the county. So I've told them that it is imperative that we have their work product to present to the board in June in advance of the final budget hearing, and they've committed to that. Again, this is on a time and materials basis. The proposed fee is in accordance with the funds that we had estimated for this.
26 grand, right?
Staff is recommending approval because we understand that this is one of your top priorities for the year.
Sure.
Just if I may comment, Reptalis also has performed, and there's the vendor and consultant for another CED I represent that has a utility system.
Gotcha.
They happy with them?
Oh, yeah, very much so. And they, I think they also do Lee County's utility rates analysis as well as Collier. So what they've done, they've acquired a number of really good other consultants who still have a good local feel.
So what does it take for us to get this rolling?
Motion to authorize me to approve the proposal and to then establish the pre-conference necessary to provide them with all the financial information, former rate studies, your ERC methodology, and those sort of things. All of that's ready to go, but I need a motion for you to approve the rate consultant being retained.
I would so like to make that motion. Do I have a second?
It's your turn. I seconded it.
Any discussion, Dan?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just as an aside also, I've interacted with Mr. Ori in the past, both with him and against him.
Okay.
And he's a consummate professional.
So he understands you.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay,
But
moving on.
Item C today is, this is just an informational item. I want the board to know we're continuing to track and persist on the addition of ACH vendors and a replacement ACH vendor for utility billing. While there are a minority of customers here who would prefer to pay their utility bills with a credit card or a debit card, the ACH vendor that supports the company that we have doing utility billings has a new vendor selected. I asked her to memorialize this in an email to me. While she did not mention a specific date, she is hopeful that the ACH vendor will be identified and we would make application in time for your February utility bill, and if not, the next one. And so I'm a little more optimistic than I have been, and I just wanted to let the board that I haven't forgotten about this, and we continue to speak to them and get updates every other week.
I thought Muni Building was gonna have this done in November.
They originally said they were gonna have it in November. They had some problems with the integration. I'm not a tech person. I don't fully understand that, but they have completed what they call their beta testing. And she will give us hopefully a much better update when we speak to her. I think it's a week from Tuesday. We talk to them every other Tuesday we have a staff meeting with them, and if I get good news, I'll share it with you immediately.
Seems like Muni Building comes up with a lot of excuses.
They've done a very good job in all regards except for this one.
Very good. Financials?
I have one more item. This is item E. I just wanted the board to know that the application from residents to do and capture email addresses in order to be able to send blast emails went out, I believe it was Wednesday, in a separate mailing that I authorized. If you were not here last month, this board is constantly trying to improve upon communications to the community. We don't have your personal email addresses, and so you're going to get a letter that has an application, pretty straightforward. If you would like, it's on an opt-in basis. If you want to receive blast communications from the CID, I need to be able to have a database of email addresses. The first solicitation has been mailed. The second one will go out with the next utility bill. And so if you fill out the application, you send it back to our office, and then you see it again, you don't have to fill it out twice, but we're trying to do a solicitation, and the first one has been mailed to you this week. You might get it as early as tomorrow. If not, you should get it by mail next week.
I really encourage you folks to fill this out and opt into this. We had another situation last night where the cops were out here looking for somebody. And we've got no way to alert the residents, just like, you know, as we all know what happened with Zach. There's many questions. There's no place to find it. if we have a water problem, we have any kind of problems, we want to be able to get a hold of you folks. Hurricane time, all these things. There's a litany of reasons why this would be an advantage for you. So please fill that out and let's make this happen. Catherine?
Sure. Catherine Kellmeyer. Am I correct in assuming that if people opt in and supply your email addresses, they are now a public record?
Yes.
And what does that mean for us if we give you, who can get our email address? What does being a public record
Yeah, I don't
mean?
like hypothetical sort of questions, but it is conceivable that if there were a disgruntled resident in this community who wanted to get our database of emails, if they made a public records request of me, I would have to provide them by law.
Thank you.
And so that, I mean, that's the world that we live in. Tony has also mentioned to me that if we receive that information, we can link that to the sheriff's department through his code red process, so that in the event that there was a threatening situation in this community, he has the ability to send text messages and blast emails under a code red type scenario. And so that may be something that we want to evaluate further with the sheriff's department.
Tony?
Yeah, I think the individuals would have to opt in themselves, but I'm on the sheriff's website now. The contact information that they have, and one of my other communities also, they promote Code Red with the Lee County Sheriff's Department. And the contact information with Code Red is private, only be used for community notifications. There is under Florida law, public records have to be provided unless they are exempt or confidential as deemed by Florida legislature or the courts. And the Code Red statute provides for that confidentiality as opposed to just a general.
So are you suggesting that we do a Code Red thing in place of?
What might be possible is if the public as a whole, those members of the public who want to receive emergency information from the sheriff's department, though, that's where they receive it from.
Not from us.
Would sign up for Code Red.
Okay.
So whether or not the sheriff's, and then maybe one of the conversations might be with the sheriff's department is in that situation with Mr. Ludwig, and that would the sheriff's department send out an alert to everybody in Port of the Islands or a certain area using Code Red? And so in other words, find out the parameters for the notification.
But no one, the police, they keep things quiet for quite some time, because of how they do things. But I think we should just keep moving along with what we've got.
Yeah.
Steve? Steve Gunther, 25077 Peacock Lane. First of all, Neil, I just want to thank you for getting this going. It's awesome. One of the things that when we started this, we collected all the email addresses of the HOA or COA presidents. So for you guys, if you don't want your email, talk to your presidents of your HOA and have them opt in in this form, and that way that's a second layer that they'll get the email, and then it can be distributed to the sub-communities here.
Very good. I like that.
Thanks, Steve.
This gentleman?
Patrick Oatenbaker. Our electric bill comes through our Slip Owners Association, so I'm not quite sure how I will get the form to fill out for the email. You probably don't have my individual address. I don't know.
Bill or the water bill?
You've got a board, maybe we'll come through that. Give me one.
I'll make copies of it and shove it in mailboxes.
Beautiful. Appreciate your doing that. Go ahead.
Mary Beth Stewart. I'm wondering about, and you may have discussed this in the past, but Orchid Coves Association, you can go online in the website and opt in and sign out, change your email address, and we automatically get emails on what's happening in the community. But we do not have to opt in. We do it ourselves. It's self-service. It's very easy to manage. It would be great if we could look into adding that kind of capability. It's in our HOA website, very easy. And that way we're all able to communicate without having to worry about everybody getting email addresses.
Okay. Yeah.
Something to add to both of their comments. I'm a part of the HOA in this immediate hotel condo, I'd say BS that's currently going on. Our president doesn't do much as our board, so can we contact you direct to get this form, to get onto that list, because currently our board isn't gonna do anything good for us.
First of all, anybody can call any board member whenever they want. Don't be shy. Send us an email or give us a call. That's what we're here for. Now, Neil, would that be something for you, or would you rather not?
Well, they can contact me by email, or.
Just to get on the list.
Yeah, and as I understand it, you are not a utility customer?
Correct, that would be our board, and I'm asking currently for those expenses.
Yeah, see me after the meeting, and I'll give you my official email address, and if you want to receive a form, then we'll email you back and include the form so that you can do that if you live in a condominium.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So you could do the same.
Go ahead. I understand.
Okay. Kathy Oswald, Sunset K. Why would it have to be public record? As an example, my church has a database. We can either opt to have all of our parish members get our email and our information, or just the staff, or just the board.
Because it's not a public entity. We're a public entity, so we
Okay.
have different rules.
Okay.
Thank you for that, though.
Florida has some of the most liberal sunshine and public record laws in the country, and that's just the world that I live in.
Okay.
All right.
The only
I wasn't sure the
exceptions are
difference.
collective bargaining, the labor unions, or matters pertaining to active or threatened litigation, and that you can exempt those. Otherwise, everything I do is a public record.
Yeah, and Neil and I grew up in the local government sector, and the legislature started really implementing it in 79, 80, 81, so.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, the final item that I have today are the financials. They're behind the next tab. These are the financials through the close of business of November the 30th, the second month of the fiscal year. As I'd like to do, I'll give the board some highlights from these. Total cash on hand at the end of November was $4,613,000. The principal amount of that is in your operating account. There are some due to and due funds back and forth to the utility account there. $4,613,000, though, is a really strong cash position for a community this size. Additionally, the district has land and infrastructure depreciable assets of almost $16 million. That are on the balance sheet. Total assets after depreciation, $13,100,000. There were $97,000 in payables at the end of the month that are on the liability portion of that. The next page is the income statement, page 1 of the income statement. You will see that many of you elected to pay your tax bill towards the end of November. There were $106,000 in non-ad valorem assessments that were received and booked during the month of November. Many of those that were paid on the last 2 days of November will not be reflected until they were recorded by the tax collector in early December. We receive those funds electronically. I get asked that question a lot. You know, how do you get your money? It comes electronically, directly wired into our accounts. Because it's only the second month of the fiscal year, all of the cost centers here, for the most part, are under budget. In some cases, for other clients, we prepay our annual insurance premiums. We don't do that here. We pay them monthly, just because that advantage was there noted for us. I did want to pick up on one thing. We are expensing separately any costs related to Hurricane Ian. And so while those costs are not reflected, you will see some hurricane costs on the utility side. There was $13,273,000 in the utility fund. That was for some specialty contractors that were brought in to assist Mr. Chucky and staff to do some sonar detection of leaks that are in that raw water main that we talked about earlier. I just wanted you to know that while there was no budget we are expensing those in a separate category. So any of the costs for which there may be FEMA eligibility, we just have those carved out in another area. But that sort of jumps off the page. 13,273 in work thus far. Really, if you look overall in the operating fund, we're about $60,000 year to date under budget. Some of what we do is seasonal, but at the end of 2 months, expenses are favorable to budget. Revenues are slightly ahead of the original forecast, and your cash position is quite strong. Happy to answer any questions, or you can entertain a motion to accept them.
On your first page here, you got fund balances, unreserved fund balance. Under operating, you have 3.8 million, 9 million under water and sewer, for a grand total of 12.8 million. What does unreserved fund balance mean?
We have certain contingency reserves, and there are, by law, we budget a 5% revenue reserve. In theory, it acts sort of like a secondary contingency in anticipation that maybe all of your taxes are not going to be paid or paid by an investor through the tax certificate sale. And so we sort of show the reserves separately in those two regards. It's a good question.
So we just have almost $13 million in those reserves?
No, because not all of that is cash.
Okay.
As I said, your depreciable assets are 15 million. That's what your utility system has been evaluated at in terms of replacement costs. And then we are depreciating those assets. But you know, for a community this size to have a $15 million utility system, I think is another really strong point.
Yeah.
Motion to accept them?
1 second. I went through all these. I want to make sure that the utility bill we're a little bit high on, five grand, but that can't be helped. Motion to accept the financials. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Again, Mr. Chairman, that's all that I have today.
Thank you. You're up, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Matt with Florida Utility Solutions. All of our operations at the facility throughout the month were in accordance with contract and regulatory requirements. All wastewater plant requirements were met, and all water distribution requirements were met. The reuse pump system is functioning properly for outgoing pressure at the plant. Over on the canal, we're still operating on 2 pumps with no generator. We processed 2.6 million gallons of wastewater. We produced and distributed 3.7 million gallons of drinking water, and we distributed 8.4 million gallons of reuse water. Read 857 meters and used 970 gallons of chlorine. We had both of the mobile generators over there serviced and new tires and ready to go in case there's ever an issue. We're doing some stuff to the generator on the well road, just routine maintenance. All lift stations and pumps were inspected, odor control checks were performed. Still in progress with the parts that were approved and repairs that were going on. A lot of parts have shown up. We've started work on a lot of different things. We've made a lot of minor repairs. We repaired a high service pump. We installed some riprap around the culverts on the well road. We fabricated a new dumpster for the screening dumpster because the old one was past its lifespan. And we've started pumping down a lot of the parts of the plant for the upgrades to the plant.
Very good.
So that's about it.
I was looking at wastewater average daily flow. It looks like the difference between what we're producing in raw water, or potable water that we're selling, and what we're redoing in our wastewater plant is about 42% less. So we're putting in fresh water, but we're only redoing 42% less of that. So that, I would assume that's going into swimming pools and all these other things.
Yeah, anything that wouldn't go into the sanitation lines, which would be swimming pools, anybody who hand waters their lawn, washing their cars, you know, well, a lot of the boats are on the reuse system, the docks are, but, you know, anything that doesn't go back into the sanitation line.
So, and what kind of that brought me up is I know how much money we're spending, or how much we're billing people for reuse, and so, and that's a high number, because it's like 1.5 times what raw water is, right? So we're actually making out pretty well on that.
Yeah, I don't see the numbers.
Oh, I know,
on the
I know,
number side, yeah, but
I know.
I understand what you're saying.
I want to tell you, you guys are doing a great job.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We're working hard.
Yeah.
Your plant's putting out great and does a good job. And I talked to Dan a lot. He's staying on top of the FEMA stuff, so we go back and forth. He's working really hard.
I know he is.
I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to thank these guys. We had to get some riprap on the culverts to move from 80% reimbursement to 100% reimbursement on one of the FEMA grants. And we had to get that done. They got it out there right away and riprap those culverts so we can get that through the FEMA. So I appreciate that, guys, for working with us.
No problem.
Yeah, your Class A outfit.
Thank you. And Annalise, let me know if you want to talk about those collectors.
We're gonna move those fishers.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Tony?
A few items just to update, which is not much of an update on the Puckmack lawsuit. We responded to the request for production, gave them a bunch of documents. Puckmack, through their attorney, filed amended answers to interrogatories. I'm reading, Lenore gave me an update, my partner. And Puckmack's attorney scheduled a deposition and canceled it. There's going to be a Neil, and we haven't heard anything since.
How long do we have to put up with this before we can just try to get rid of this thing?
Well, but I'd suggest that the three of us have separate conversations and/or we have one-on-one conversations.
Very good.
Because if
I understand.
We can't make decisions, we can't.
I understand.
There'd be separate communications, but if we were to have a closed-door session, that's an expensive proposition with the court reporter.
Gotcha.
But,
right.
Yeah, that falls in the legal strategy area. On the public records, I've finalized and revised and updated the lawsuit, and I just need your confirmation that you don't have all the records.
We sent that yesterday, that's correct.
Okay, so that would be filed. I'm planning on filing that this afternoon. Now, I was able to access some of the email PS. The flash drive, there are 11 thumb drives that were provided, that's my recollection, to Neil's office. Well, one of them says emails, utility meters, and board members. And I was finally able to go there in PST format, and it's a whole story with me and technology. Opened them up, and it was interesting because there were the names of the current board members of folders. Then you'd go into that folder and you'd see emails for like about 2 months back in 2023 of the current board member. Then it would go back to 22, 21, and 20 of the prior board members. So Catherine, like yours are in there, Rochelle's are in there, and there were a paucity of emails, I will call it. So that's primarily the premise is where are all the other emails? Your emails from your public records request are there. So that's, I revised it based upon my review of what I opened up in that flash drive that Kevin from Neil's office gave me. And we're planning on filing that this afternoon.
Well, I know one of the things too were text messages. And when I asked for text messages, I got some snapshots of a phone. The other thing is, at the last meeting, I asked one of the board members, if they had any public records that they had turned over, and they said no, they had none. And I feel like people think that public records mean emails. Public records encompasses a huge amount of things. And for somebody to come and say that in 4 years they didn't produce anything, should we be holding them accountable as well?
That I would suggest is a separate matter. I think right now.
Okay.
Focus on the entity, the person that was your manager for 7 years with,
I got you.
we find him, in my opinion, non-responsive to our request.
We'll move on.
Yep. So we have that ready to go. The public records report mess, just had a conversation with Annalise this morning. I'm gonna finalize the graphic. There was a slight edit to the graphic as to the type of material that needed to be corrected, and then I'll send it back around for your signature, Steve. And also, the legislature now requires that when deeds are signed or any other instrument affecting an interest in real property, that you need to, under the witnesses, if there's a witness, you need to have their name printed, which has always been the case, but also their address. So I'll get with Joe, I'll find out Joe Levy's address from Annalise and the other witness, and we'll get that taken care of.
Very good.
So we can set that aside, move forward from that swale issue, once and for all, hopefully. Yes, sir. And nothing further unless there are any questions.
With that, there is no engineers report today.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you guys turn in a bill for last month?
I may have been behind a bit because of the holidays.
Okay. Kevin normally provides me the engineering and the law, and I didn't get anything from him, so I'm assuming that.
I just got some for other clients this week, and so you will be getting those. I know, I'm pretty sure that I've got Laley, Pelican Marsh, and Port of the Islands. I just got some from Tony's accounting department this week.
Very good, thank you. Old business?
I put on here the continuing discussions with the Collier Mosquito Control District, and I shared with you an email thread that goes back, maybe to November. Again, I just want you to know we have not lost sight of this. They did file their annexation proposal for the upcoming session of the legislature. They were not successful last year. The board, we had a presentation by the deputy executive director, I think it was November. They had promised us a interim interlocal agreement fee proposal to have the community sprayed both aerially and also ground level. And I just want you to know, there's a term in our company that we refer to as buggy whipping. And sometimes you just gotta whip them to get them to show up or get the proposal to you.
I've seen your emails.
We have not lost sight. My son, who works with me now, he asked me one day, "What are you talking about when you talk about buggy whipping?"
Yeah.
And he said, "No, I don't know." And I said, "Have you ever seen Gone with the Wind?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "At the end of Act 1, Miss Scarlet is fleeing Atlanta in a horse and buggy. And she has beaten that horse, and she beats that horse to death before they finish scene one." So Tom, I just want you to know we hadn't forgotten about it.
Very good.
There was no other new business unless, I think Mr. Truckee had one. Dan, you said you wanted to discuss a potential event?
I gotta talk about soda.
Yes, it can fall under our supervisor's requests if you want, or I can do it now, whatever you like.
Go ahead, we're at it.
All right. After the events that happened at the hotel and that we thought as a community that we may want to talk about an event that we could schedule sometime in March or something. It consisted of just put some ideas together to see what it may or may not look like. We could have a fishing derby in the morning, starting out early, back by say noon, and have some lunch at the hotel. The hotel could provide food for the event, and we could have some activities in the afternoon, maybe finish off with a band in the early evening or late afternoon. We could have that in memory of Zach. And we could continue it as an annual event if the community enjoyed it and had a good time. I've talked to a couple of different people in the community, and it seems to have a positive outlook on it. Is that something we'd like to go further with as a board or as a community?
Anybody have any ideas? Why? Go for it, Tom. For you folks that don't know, this is Tom. He owns a hotel here.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea, and then we'll provide for the community.
And I don't think he was expecting you to do it for free.
No, this would, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
After the thing happened here, is so many people support me, many people volunteer to help me, and I feel like I own the community. I want to do that for free.
That's very gracious of you.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea, Dan. I'm sorry.
Hi, Joe Lloyd again. I think it would be great to bring the community together after suffering such a tragedy as we did. And also if we could do like donations or something and do it an annual event, if the family has like a charity, and do it in his name, you know, something like that, make it.
And actually, at some point here, we should figure out how to get a suggestion chain going so that we can get more input like that. Sir?
Do you have would the board recognize a committee for this? A group of people that can, outside of yourselves, right?
He has an issue with the committee.
I'm glad the gentleman mentioned outside of yourselves.
Yeah.
Because if it's a committee created or appointed by the board, they have to meet in the sunshine. If it's just an ad hoc group of volunteers, ad hoc. And if the board wants to be a sponsor of the event and accept donations, and the board can do that. Another district, they have Winterfest, they have 4th of July, they have other
Would someone like to volunteer to head a committee for that? Come on.
That head of committee that this gentleman suggested that it would be, it would not be a board committee.
This is where the trouble is.
Yeah, that's where the road meets the road. My name's Blake Lloyd. I know you guys are.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
how about if can it be put out by the board in some type of
email,
some kind of a notification? We're all talking about these notifications, that there's some type of legal committee that could be created.
Did you want to do that, Mars?
We can't go through you guys for it, right?
No, I suggest the board can't get that kind of advice to a private group.
Let's move on from this. Let's.
Steve, I would like to say, if I may, I would like to have something to do with that. I think we can put it together. My goal today was to see what the community thought of it. If it's something that we'd like to do as a community, we can get something together, some ideas, and start putting committees together. It will take a team to make this happen in the time frame that we have. We have the month of February to pretty much put this together and maybe have it by sometime in March before people start going home. So I think that we can do it, and we can certainly get some information out to everyone if it's something you want to do.
Okay.
We should put something out on the website.
So we'll leave you out of it, and we'll figure out a way to take control of it so that.
Work with Dan.
No, I'm saying Dan.
Yeah.
But Dan's a board member.
But Dan will be wearing,
resident.
as I understand it, Mr. Truckee will be wearing his resident hat, not his board member hat, to work with this group. He's not designated, he's just volunteered to work with Mr. Lloyd and the other members of the community to organize this event. And the board can be a sponsor of it, but in some event, and they accept donations.
We only have one board member to work with the community, so it's not a sunshine thing.
I want to make sure that
we understand your point.
It's not a board committee.
We understand your point.
In his individual capacity.
Let's move this along. I really would like to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. And as long as we're on new business, JC, are you still on the line? Mr. Perez? Or Sanchez?
I am.
Hope you're doing well.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I talked to you about working with the wall over there where I did mine.
Yeah.
Wondering if you would allow us to do that on yours as well?
Steve, I'm not necessarily opposed to you guys doing that. I just want a little bit of clarity. Because obviously, I think everybody knows, due to some unforeseen circumstances, my situation has changed pretty dramatically. Um, I could have, if I remember correctly, we talked about the walls probably 4 or 5 meetings ago. And at that time, we had decided, I think, at least we came to a consensus that we were going to remove the walls completely and just leave sort of the palm trees. And the CID board was going to get an estimate as to removing the walls completely. So I'm assuming that nothing sort of came out of those conversations.
No, we did get some, quotes. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like 15 grand a side, wasn't it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Coordinate that with Mr.
And,
Taylor.
on the stuff that went on my side, basically, the board came together and other people in the community, and we just went out there one day and went to work. I took out a little piece of that wall on the far end that didn't need to be there. We took out all the vegetation that we're paying Mr. Soto to work on a monthly basis, which costs about $2,200 a side.
Yeah.
So that will save us a bunch of money. But it was basically all volunteer to do it. I think it looks good. We're gonna put a little more signage on the front there. Originally there was a big sign on there that said the K's, and I found that after I pressure washed the paint off of it, I saw where the old sign was, and it looks pretty good. So we're gonna look at doing something like that yet, but we're trying to do minimal stuff that like the flowers and whatnot. I know Soto put those in, but these sorts of things we'd like to keep volunteer as much as we can. And
yeah, I don't. Obviously, I'm not opposed. I think everybody knows that I'm on record. Living right down the street. I want that entrance to look nice. And again, we had some very big plans. To be honest, and I'll probably announce it here. My decision has not been finalized, but I'm probably going to put the property up for sale. Unfortunately, my health condition is probably not going to allow me to continue forward with our plans. Unless, God willing, something changes. But in the meantime, anything that I could contribute as far as helping the community to beautify the entrance, I am by all means very supportive.
so will you allow us to move forward with that then?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. And then if you would give me a heads up, I will try to make myself available so that I can also come and help and volunteer and help do the work, of course.
Well, I very much appreciate that. And as you know, you and I spoke about the possible sale of that land, and that the CID would sure like an opportunity to purchase that from you if the community wanted it, and if we could establish a working price.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. In fact, to be honest with you, not because me and Maylee, my wife, had such exciting plans for the land, and the value that we thought it would bring to the community. I don't think it'd be in anybody's better hands, if it's not going to be in ours, that it's in the CID's hands. And then, as you mentioned, it'd be wonderful to right at the entrance there to have some amenities and have our own clubhouse or whatever the case may be, whatever plans you have. It wouldn't be in anybody's better hands than to be in the CID, so that we could really make sure that that land, being as prominent as it is, brings the right look, the right atmosphere, the right welcoming to our community.
Well, I really appreciate that sentiment, and I agree with you completely. Maybe you and I can continue to have dialogue on this and see what we can come up with, and then come back and propose it hopefully for the next board meeting.
That's fine. I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, because of treatment, I have not been able to travel to Naples as often as we used to. But we can make arrangements so that we could sit down and have a conversation and see what we could come up with.
If you need to, I would also be willing to drive to Miami and meet with you, if what it would take.
We could work that out. And I've been thinking about this, and I think there's probably a couple of ways to skin this cat where also I can help the CID board if we do agree to some sort of purchase, how I could help the CID board accomplish that as well.
We really appreciate it, and we pray that your treatments are successful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Supervisors' requests? Anybody have anything? I've kind of been hitting them as I go along here, so I don't have anything. Okay, go for it.
Okay, Soto's been doing normal maintenance around, and then also a few other things which have already been alluded to by Steve. Hayes Monument Drive, where they replaced put flowers in there. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the bill for $12.55. That's estimate $61.45. Estimate $61.46 would be for $1,300, and that was for working around the light poles and stop signs. I don't believe that has been done yet. Estimate $61.73 was for trimming the palms over on the Union side. That's $550. An estimate $61.74 for $3,700 was for trimming all the palm trees on both sides, Caves and Newport, and I believe that's already been done or is in process.
It should be done today. Tell me.
Done today.
We had them take out a tree on the beginning of Hayes Drive also, and we're going to be installing a flagpole there with light. So that's sitting in my house.
We replaced the flag on this side. What is that, right out here?
Thank you.
Lisa and her husband and Joe Levy bought us that flag. So thank you.
We need a second on that.
Okay, so is that a motion to pay those?
Yes.
Second that?
But the one hasn't been done yet, right? The light poles?
Right. Not to my knowledge.
No, they were supposed to do it today. I don't know with the weather if they're gonna do it, but.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other supervisors' requests? Dan, have you got anything?
I do not. We covered it throughout the meeting. Thank you.
Perfect. Anybody? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, your next meeting will be February the 16th.
Yeah.
And presumably back at Orchid Cove.
Now we have public comments. Is there any? I'm sorry. Let's just start in the front and work our way back.
Joyce Carlino, Peacock Lane. I hear you mention often the possibility of community building.
Mm-hmm.
That really concerns me, since Orchid Cove has a community building that we pay assessments on. So to have another assessment, I hope there's some kind of consideration that, you know, we have one that we use. So if we build another one, we don't need 2 clubhouses for us. So hopefully there's some kind of consideration for Orchid Cove if you do go through with building the clubhouse.
Very good.
That makes sense.
Sir?
Monkey Valley, Newport Drive. You mentioned about the taxes, we pay all this money in, don't get anything back. Why do we have to maintain our roads?
Because we own them.
We should give them to the county.
We have been working on this, sir.
It's outrageous, and we have to take care of our roads.
I don't disagree with you.
We agree.
We're working on it.
The county
hasn't
accepted residential streets really since the mid-1980s. Their land development code and subdivision regulations require that residential streets be owned either by a CDD, CID, or Master Homeowners Association. So the bottom line is they won't take them. They might create their own taxing district, but then they're going to appoint the members of the board to run their taxing district. And so it's been that way for 30 years.
The county's really good about taking care of their backyard.
Not necessarily, I mean, they can't even take care of their own roads.
Thanks.
Catherine?
Sure, Catherine Kilmeyer. At one time, I think there was conversation about the entrance lights on Newport Drive, both monuments and then the main monument. Has anything happened with that?
Unfortunately, we get our electricity provided by the hotel here. A while back, evidently the power supply got cut. And the last I talked to Tom is he had an electrician that was supposed to be taking care of that. I will talk to him after this meeting and coax him along a little more,
Thank you.
okay? Anyone else? Go ahead.
So Mary Beth Stewart, 144 Wilderness K. I understand that there was some proposal maybe brought up at the beginning of the meeting, I was expecting at the end, regarding our neighbor at 148 Wilderness K about looking into a seawall. I just would like to be kept informed as a neighbor. I'm concerned about the impact on our riprap in the area and the natural environment as well, and what.
They're gonna be working directly with the board, and I will personally keep you up on it.
Great, thank you very much.
Anyone else? Sir?
Patrick Oakenbaker. We have friends on Marco Island. There's almost no mosquitoes on Marco. I don't know if the county sprays for them, if they pay for their own spraying. I know we have a budget for spraying by truck. Has anybody looked into a quote to have whoever Marco sprays, spray us?
Just one quick thing. Comparing Marco to us is difficult because we are in the Everglades. You know, if the wind blows 5 miles an hour, they're coming in. It's difficult. Yeah, but we are working on that. Earlier we talked about this.
Interlocal agreement?
Yeah, and we're trying to get it done where we'll do more aerial and whatnot if it's priced correctly and whatnot, but it's an ongoing thing, and I'll bet even if we get airplanes in here, we're still not gonna solve it, but go ahead.
The property, as you come into Newport on the west side, the grassy area, there's a big wooden wheel there that I probably had tubing or electrical, or I don't know whose property that is, number one.
There's electrical wires wrapped around that as far as like a utility, like somebody dropped it off.
Yeah, so it's there. And then there's a tire, a rubber tire that's in the grass, so somebody's mowing around it continuously. And I don't know whose property it is and who's paying for the service of that grass.
We own, not we, the CID owns a strip of land between Newport Drive and the parking lot and whatnot. So there's a strip in there that's probably as wide as this room at least, that we own that frontage on. I'm not sure if that's in that or if it's on the other side. If it's on the other side, that is,
Is that county property?
no, it would be Preppins. Either way, I got a skid steer here. I'll go over and address it because I got to have them pick up some. Well, now that we're going to do JC's thing, we'll take out all the stuff, pile it, and then when we're done, we'll have a truck come in and pick up all that debris, and that can be added to the pile. All right, sir.
Steve Gunther, Peacock Lane. Did I hear earlier that you were going to meet with the county about taking over our easement on 41 and they declined? Is that
correct?
Neil?
The staff has declined. There is a opportunity for a separate public petition that goes directly to the Board of County Commissioners, and they have to accept public petitions. And we indicated when Mr. Baird and I met with Mr. Castro that we had hoped to solve it at a staff level. I'm not surprised. I mean, the staff's never looking for more to do. And so, you know, it's a $3 billion budget and pretty straightforward. And so we reserve our rights to go and petition the county commissioners during a normal session. There's a process for that. I was going to give Mr. LaCastro the courtesy of trying to follow up. We talked to him about 3 different things, but he understands we may be headed back there for a formal public petition.
And if I may follow up on that, the public petition process is you send it in, sign a form, the board can send it in, designate who the speaker is gonna be, and the speaker gets 10 minutes at the beginning of the board meeting. It's like the fourth or fifth item on the board agenda. The board doesn't take action except maybe to direct staff to investigate and come back. So it's a question of how you frame the public petition. As we request that the board of county commissioners direct the staff to do X, Y, Z.
And that's when that goes along with that line of my idea of taking the whole board and going to a county commission meeting, because quite frankly, I think that we're getting ripped off.
And if the board goes around the public petition, it's always helpful to have a number of individuals in the audience behaving appropriately so that you can turn around and say, I'm not here on my behalf only, I'm here on behalf of the district, and all these residents can you all stand who are here. And that always has a nice effect. And then as long as they don't sit there and throw snowballs or spitballs at the board.
Yes, absolutely.
The issue here is the US.
There's many of us that would love to participate in that because we feel.
We will, we may address that. We're talking specifically about the US 41 landscape medians. They were allowed to be constructed under a right-of-way permit that was issued by FDOT to the district. That 1,000 feet is the only portion of US 41 medians that is not maintained by either the Board of County Commissioners or the City of Naples. And so we're asking them for an exception. The county has massive problems countywide with the cost of median beautification and maintenance. But I think we would be well advised if Commissioner LaCastro can't make something happen to pursue a public petition, encourage people from this community to go. The good thing is it is at the very beginning of the agenda, so you're not going to be stuck there all day because their agenda normally is 1,000 pages long.
How many?
1,000.
Sort of 2,000.
And it is an election year. Mr. LaCastro is requesting our votes to get him back in while telling us no on some things, or his staff is. But so there's nothing precluding anybody in here from making a phone call to Mr. LaCastro. Ma'am?
Yeah, I believe a few years back, the water treatment plant used to do the mosquito spraying. Why isn't that happening anymore?
I don't know that that was ever the case.
I think they just stored the chemicals there.
That's what it is. They just stored the chemicals. That's a whole different company, and they don't have chemical applicators, licenses and whatnot.
Because back then, there used to be a man from the water treatment plant, Mr. Clayton, who used to have to do the mosquito spraying for.
I've talked to them. I've talked to them. They don't want to do it.
Could you give us your name and address for notes?
Yeah.
It's just for taking notes. It's Mrs. Ramos, and I have a unit E162. Okay, thank you.
Anything else in the next 2 minutes here? Because we're keeping under 2 hours. Ma'am?
I'm going to retract my previous comment regarding the hotel marina parking contract. I've been notified that a Mr. Schubert with Sunstream had signed a contract with the marina in regards to parking. So do we know about that contract?
Shoe cart. But that would have been the previous owner.
So is that?
That wouldn't be of any
So would
effect
that
anymore.
carry over?
I'm notified that that's a forever contract. So is
Oh,
that
really?
contract known? Can we get a hold of that?
I think we should look into that.
If it's a private contract, we won't have it, but if it's off-site parking, and it's not parking on the property for which
is intended,
typically the county requires a parking arrangement that has to be approved by the county staff to provide for that off-site parking. There's a number of criteria. And if they have that agreement, authorization from the county, it would be in, you'd find a Collier City View portal. So I can get the address for that, I can check that out.
We'll,
those 2 parcels.
We'll continue to work with Tom on this. He's very aware of it, and he wants to help us out, so we'll take care of it. Is there anything else? Wow. Keep it short, man.
I'm Rita Bradkey, and I just want to compliment the cookie.
Oh, all right, thank you. Steve, one last thing?
I did have one last thing. I just want to compliment you and your board
as a resident here for multiple years with the previous board. I know you guys came in with change and it's taken longer than you guys had desired, but it's very evident to me what a great job you guys are doing. And I just want to thank you.
Appreciate that. Any last comment? Go
Just a
ahead.
question,
I'm
is
sorry.
there on the website a photo of what the CID board maintains for the property? Is there any?
A site plan?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? We'll look
There-
into putting
there-
one on there if there is
Maybe
a.
to differentiate it from the county.
There is a capital improvement.
Oh, yeah, there is a site plan for the 300 acres or whatever we have here. That is on there. It's older than heck, but it's on there.
And there may also be one in the capital improvement plan, and that document that is on the website as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have to dig for it.
I'll talk to you after this task.
Okay.
The code enforcement officer did leave his cards with me. If you'd like to have one at the end of the meeting, they're right here.
All right.
See you next month.
It's 11:30. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone for coming. It was nice to see all the new faces and the old faces, and take a cookie when you go.
I like your 2-minute warning, like the NFL.
There you go. That's my goal, 2 hours.
I read an article a while back in the Wall Street Journal about 15-minute meetings. So a lot of times we'll have partner meetings, and, you know, and they talked about, you don't need a 2-hour meeting.
We went through a lot today.
You do.
Yeah.
Reason I said what I did about streaming is because we had a streaming. If you have a volunteer.